morning, it's Wednesday. Let's get cracking on this new bowl that I got. So we got this thing glued up. Got a few little cracks in here, but I think I can fix that up with some CA glue if the cracks still continue to be down. I already filled it up at the surface level. So first thing we're going to do today is go ahead and drill some holes for some dowels. So we've been experimenting with different size holes. We think we're going to go for an 1 3/8 inch dowel. Okay, so the next step in the process is drilling the 2 holes, and I ended up with a 1 3/8 inch drill bit. This is certainly something where this blank is very possible to get spun around. So I got this clamped down, and you really don't need to take this all the way through. So I'm only going to take it down about 1.5 inches, and the reason for that is it's very difficult, or could be difficult for someone to get a perfectly parallel plug. So I'm just going to increase the chances of getting that just right by making a shorter hole. Okay, so that's how it looks. So the next step would be to go over and get some an oak plug for this side and a walnut plug for this side, or blank, so I can turn it. So next thing we'll do, we'll go over to the lathe. Okay, so I just really need to make 2 dowels, and the way I'm doing that, I've already roughed this out with the roughing gouge, and I'm using the calipers in combination with a parting tool to get down to my diameter that I want. Okay, now that I'm down to my diameter, I can just rough this out with the spindle roughing gouge again. I'll be back in a few. Okay, so I got down to the final dimension. I'm just gonna have to plug this into the bowl to see if I have a good fit. Okay, so this side was slightly loose, so I went ahead and did this other side. I'm gonna sand it and do some test fits in order to get this thing just right. So we're really talking a couple thousandths. This side is slightly loose, and this is just right. You can see that's pretty good, but this is just fitting in. Okay, let's do it again with a piece of oak. You notice I'm moving my body back and forth like this, and I'm keeping my finger back here to use as a guide. By doing that, you can get a pretty good read on the diameter of this piece. I dropped my caliper on the floor. That's what I was looking for. Make sure everything's locked. notice I'm taking 2 plunge cuts. So when the tool enters the wood, it's a good idea to go in and make it a little bit wider. So if this is 1/4 inch, I actually make 1 cut and then another cut right next to it so that the tool does not get pinched as it goes in. Then I'm doing, since I've got my diameter set, now I just have to take these large surfaces down to that diameter. Okay, that actually took a couple more passes. Again, that looks pretty parallel. I did that with sandpaper. Took me 3 times to get it just right. And that's the kind of fit I'm looking for. So again, I just got to glue that in, chop these pieces off, and then I can mount it on the faceplate and start turning. Make sure I got a nice coating all over this. More glue is better than not enough. I'm going to try to match up the grain to this piece. And from there, all we got to do is wait a little while. Okay, so now it's time to put the faceplate on. So that's going to be the bottom. This is going to be the top. So we always turn the bottom first. And get that as centered as possible. See if this drill still has battery power. So I'm going to put the screws there just like that. Okay, I felt that first screw went in really tight. And so what I just did was drilled 3 more pilot holes and put the other 3 screws in. I think 3 screws on this is plenty. So now it's time to go to the lathe. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's pretty concentric. I'm gonna have to take some of that off, but it's really not too bad. It's a little heavy on the oak side, but sometimes it's a denser wood will make it off balance. But even with that, you can check the run on how close you got by coming over here. So I'm about 1/8 of an inch there, and the widest is about 1/2 inch there. So I'm not quite center, but close enough. Yeah, so the first thing I got to do is make, knock off these corners and then make a tenon. And then once I turn it and shape the bottom, and then when I'm done that, when I start going into the top, these will be exposed on the other side. Okay, whenever you're starting up a piece, always start out slow. So I started at 250, and I'm going to go up a little bit more. And since this is a glued up piece, I really don't want to go too fast. I'm going to be taking very, very light cuts with this because I'm hoping the glue will stick, but I'm not positive. I'm just starting to get a little bit of wobble right now. Is it out on balance? This is the bottom, so I'm about 470. Okay, do a little safety here. Sleeves up, rings off, and so is the watch. Face shield on. Lean into it. Take real light cuts. Again, you'll see I'm moving my body, and I'm using my left hand as a pivot point. That's a lot more, you get a lot more control by moving your hip and shifting your weight versus try to do this. So these weren't exactly flush, so I've got to work that off by doing this facing operation. And I still got to work on the outside diameter in order to get that nice and round and concentric. One important thing here, I am not in a hurry whatsoever. We are on house arrest with the COVID-19 thing, and I don't want to blow this blank up, so I'm just going to take my time. I'm not going to show this all to you, but I'll show you a little bit. Okay, so this is coming along. I got to take at least almost a ½ an inch out of here in order to get this nice and smooth. And that's the same thing I had to do on this piece on the platter. Okay, I'll be back in a little while. So I'm thinking about it. I do want to just say once again, turning you should not be in a hurry unless you're a production turner and you're really experienced in what you're doing. Enjoy the turning, enjoy the day. You're not in a big hurry to get stuff done. If you are, you really shouldn't be turning. You shouldn't be turning or doing any woodworking if you're tired or hungry. So that was my safety tip for today. Okay, I just marked out for the tenon, and that's going to be right there. So I'm going to sneak up on that. Again, I am in no hurry to do this. I'm taking very light cuts, primarily because this is a glued up piece. Okay, I'm not rubbing the bevel. I'm getting all kind of tear out right here. So we'll be back in a little bit. I'll show you how to make the tenon. I'm going to make that a little bit deeper, and then from there I'm going to come on over. Again, whenever I'm using my parting tool, I like to make 2 cuts so that the body of the blade does not get caught from the tip. Now this tip is actually wider than the body, but it's just good practice to give yourself a little extra room so you don't get bound up. Okay, I'm getting down to the shape that I want, so I'm just going to take a few finishing passes and try to rub that bevel to get as smooth as possible cut. It's not bad. It could be a little bit better, and I'll continue work on this. Okay, I'm gonna do the final smoothing out with some shear scraping. Alright, I'm going to start sanding from there, and I am starting to see a little bit gap right here and right there, which I'm going to have to fill up. I'm going to do that with sawdust and CA glue. Okay, I got it chucked up now, and it's turning nice and true, and I'm just going to have to start carving out the middle here. Again, I'm going to be going slow, not in a big hurry. It's a beautiful day here in New Jersey, and let's see how this comes out. Okay, I'm just getting to the oak and the walnut and the oak plug here. And let's see how this looks. How the glue's still wet. All right, since this glue's not dried yet, I'm going to call it quits for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. Hey everybody, okay, we're ready to put the finish on my new Yin Yang Bowl. This is the second generation of the Yin Yang cutting board we did last week. This came out okay. The one thing I messed up is right here. I didn't put the right color oak in there. So we're not getting a real good contrast, but we're going to go ahead and put the butcher block conditioner on this again. So all we're going to have to do is come in, nice heavy dab, and we're going to rub that in. Yeah. This is a great finish for cutting boards, bowls, any treenware that you might have. Plates, cutting boards, spoons. I did put a pattern on there. I did sign and date it. And we're just going to rub that in there, and then I'm going to let that sit for a minute. And that's going to come out okay. Lessons learned on this. I think cutting it out with a CNC would be better. I did have a couple little gaps between this and this by doing it on the bandsaw and the oscillating spindle sander. I was successful in filling those gaps with some CA glue and some sawdust, but you can really barely see them. You probably can't see them at all, but if you look real close, you can. So next time, this was my prototype. I'm going to try to use a solid piece. If you remember, I glued up, this was one piece of oak, this was 4 additional pieces of a slightly different color oak. So I guess you can see some contrast on that, right? Can I? So overall, I'd say this is okay. Could do better next time, and I will. But nice little project, and hope you like it. So that's wrapping up this project. Make sure you keep tuning into my channel. I've got a whole bunch of different videos coming up. I would very much, if you would appreciate, I would appreciate very much if you commented on my video and like and subscribe it. So that's pretty much it for this project, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in and spending part of your day with me. Thank you. Goodbye.